Marcoleta Ibinulgar ang Baho ni Sec Tulfo. Citizenship, moral turpitude issues tungkol kay Sec Tulfo lumabas sa CA hearing. Ipinagpaliban ng Committee ng Commission on Appointments ang pagdinig sa nominasyon ni Erwi Tulfo bilang kalihim ng Department of Social Welfare and Development o Dswd dahil sa usapin ng kanyang citizenship at ang mga kasong lebelo. Ayon kay CA Majority Leader Representative Luis Raymond Villafuerte, may mga kailangan pang linawin tungkol sa mga usapin na kinakaharap ni Tulfo. May mga katanungan ang mga members ng CA. May report which was provided sa CA members, so we want further clarifications on some of the issues there. Paliwanag ni Villafuerte sa mga mamamahayag nitong Martes. Ipinagpaliban ang pagdinig sa kumpirmasyon ni Tulfo dahil nakapila pang talakayin din ng CA ang nominasyon ni Manuel Bunuan bilang kalihim ng Department of Public Works and Highways. Hiniling ni Tulfo na sasagutin niya ang tanong sa executive session na pinagbibigyan naman ng committee.
Mr. Secretary, I follow up to the question of my colleague, Congressman Malapitan. It's about your being an enlisted personnel of the United States Army for several years, and you have been in active military service stationed in Europe from 1992 to 1996. Correct me if I'm wrong, but to be an enlisted personnel in the U.S. Army, either you are a citizen by birth, meaning to say you are a U.S. citizen, or you have acquired U.S. citizenship by naturalization, or that you are a lawful permanent resident. Under what circumstances did you, what is the status of your citizenship when you were enlisted member of the U.S. Army and when you serve as an active military service station in Europe, sir?
Mr. Chair, with all due respect,
Congressman.
Congressman Marcoleta, I think the good secretary has asked for the executive session with regard to your
Okay.
question.
Okay.
Maybe
And
we can-
there's another
we can,
question.
jump to another question.
My other question, Mr. Secretary, also appears in the report of the Commission. This is the PIR, the Profile Investigation Report, because it is indicated here that you were also convicted 4 times in the RTC in Pasay City. Is this still covered by the executive?
So it was centered only on the citizenship.
Okay.
Can I answer that, Your Honor, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please, Mr. Secretary.
That case is related to my profession as a journalist, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. There was a conviction, that's correct, but it is because of my line of work as a journalist. It's a libel, 4 counts of libel. Same individual, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
What does that exactly mean, Mr. Secretary, if you were convicted 4 times in a case involving a single individual?
No,
What do you-
it's not for convictions. Actually, it's the count, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, 4 counts of libel that I was convicted by the same individual. I was a columnist and I write a story about the person, about the government official, actually. And I have my sources and I was compelled by the court to divulge my sources, but I did not. So it went all the way up to the Court of Appeals and to the Supreme Court, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. And
Yes,
law.
that is exactly the point, Mr. Chair. There are 4 counts of libel and you were convicted by the Pasay Court, and on appeal, the Court of Appeals affirmed the conviction all the way up to the Supreme Court. And so, by record, and as it appears in the file report, Mr. Secretary, it stands as a fact that you were convicted for counts of libel. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. I admit that there was a case, but it was, like I said, in line with my work as a journalist, and it's one of the hazards of the trade, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Well, of course, you were precisely convicted because of your work. You are a journalist, but that does not change the situation. You can be convicted either way in any other vocation, but the fact stands that there is a conviction. The problem we're trying to press out here, Mr. Chair, is whether or not his conviction will be an issue in the process of confirmation, because as the Supreme Court enunciated in several cases, Mr. Chair, libel is an offense that involves moral turpitude. And in some other cases disposed by the Supreme Court, there were certain people who were disqualified from holding positions because they have been convicted of crimes involving moral turpitude. This is the dilemma, Mr. Secretary. Of course, I am in support of your confirmation as Secretary of Dswd, and I believe you have just succeeded in proving to our people that you are qualified. But this is a problem that we need to trace out, Mr. Chair. How do we dispose this dilemma before us? Because it is in the report. I could not have asked you this question, Mr. Secretary, if it did not appear in the report submitted to us by the Commission on Appointments. Mr. Chair, thank
The
you.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Chair, considering that there was a request and the line of questioning will be tackled within the executive session, since we are a collegial body, we have to tackle this as a group. So may I suggest and reiterate, Mr. Chair, that we proceed for an executive session. So move, Mr. Chair.
Okay, there's a motion duly seconded.
Mr. Chair.
Honorable Escudero.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do take note of the comments of Congressman Marcoleta. However, I would like to state for the record as well that there are many pending bills, both in the House and in the Senate, to decriminalize libel. In fact, the visit by our own DOJ Secretary to the United Nations, that was in fact even suggested by the Canadian representative. And I myself am an author of a bill seeking to decriminalize libel. So if this would be taken against the nominee, and later on that bill is approved by Congress, I think it would be prejudicial, to say the least, and unfair if he would be taking that against him. Just for the consideration of the committee, Mr. Chairman, when we go into caucus later. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Escudero. So the body would like to proceed to the executive session already, or
May tanong ako.
we still have Senator JV, Lani, Senator Estrada, and Senator Cheese who would want to ask questions. So what is the pleasure of the body?
Mr. Chair, my question is no relation to the two issues with regards to his case and his citizenship. It is regarding the program of the DSWD.
Okay, so there's
Mr. Chair.
a pending motion which has been duly seconded.
Yeah, reiterate, there's an early request suggestion of our colleagues. I move to suspend the committee deliberation and proceed to have an executive session, Mr. Chair. And we can proceed with questioning after.
Okay, so there's a motion duly seconded. Any objection? Okay, we now have an executive session.
Members attending via WebEx platform to please stay on the online meeting room for the executive session. The non-member participants on board the WebEx platform will be transferred to the online lobby for the duration of the executive session. And the guests, officers, and staff of the commission physically present in this room are likewise requested to vacate the room immediately. And may I request our OSAA to facilitate the orderly exit of guests and staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, we all know that as an effect of the climate change, mas dumadalas at tumitindi ang mga bagyo na sumasalanta sa ating bansa. Our nominee has mentioned that one of his primary objectives is to ensure that the DSWD is always at the front lines. So when natural calamities occur, ano po ang mga programa ng DSWD para maibsan ang kahirapan na dinudulot ng mga kalamidad na ito, Mr. Secretary?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, marami pong programa ang DSWD para makatulong sa mga kababayan natin na mahirap. Nandiyan po yung mas kilala na 4Ps. Pero kung yung mga kababayan ho natin, yung mga nasa lanta, when you're talking about climate change, na naapektuhan po ng mga pagbaha, pagbagyo, meron po tayong initially na binibigay po kaagad na AICS, yung Assistance for Individual in Crisis Situation, para makaumpisa po sila muli, maparepair po yung kanilang munting bahay. Pero po kung talagang nawalan po sila ng kinita, for example, sakahan o konting negosyo, yung kanilang mga manukan na babuyan, nagbibigay po kami ng sustainable livelihood, ika nga, Your Honor. Meron din ho kami yung community-based, kung yung sa komunidad po, yung kanilang mga negosyo na wipe out po, meron po kami ring programa yung tinatawag na Kapit Bisig Laban sa Kahirapan. It's a community-driven program po para sa mga kababayan natin na nasalanta po ng kalamidad, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And nakikita ko naman yung ginagawa niyo, especially yung nakaraang bagyo. Makikita natin na ang butihing secretary ay talagang very active, and in fact nakita ko yun last time ka dapat pa na confirm, pero because of mga bagyo humahabol pa rito para ma-confirm. So you got my support for that, sa mga ginagawa mo, Mr. Secretary. You got my support.
Maraming salamat po, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Congressman Pajanos. The Honorable Malapitan is recognized.
Thank you and good morning, Mr. Chair. Tungkol rito sa tupad, Mr. Secretary, wala namang revision ng pagbibigay ng tupad ng AICS. Pwedeng bigay ng Pasko, Fiesta, mga kalamidad. Nagtataka lang ako sa amin nung nakaraang eleksyon. A day before election, may mga nagbibigay pa o nagbibigay ng tupad, nagbabayad. So sana i-exempt naman natin yung election pagka ganitong payout ng tupad or ng AICS. Chinek naman namin, wala naman prohibition talaga. Pero parang hindi ho tama, day before election doon magdi-distribute at gamit pa ang DSWD. So, sana makorek ho natin itong ganitong practice sa inyong panahon as Secretary ng DSWD.
Sige po, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. Bibisitahin ho namin yan. Pero yan po kasi siguro kailangan ho natin ng isang batas po para ayusin ho at baguhin ho yan at saka ng ikang IRR tungkol po dyan. Kasi kayo na rin nagsabi na wala pong prohibition. Pero kung gusto po ninyong lagyan ho yan, po pwede naman ho sa tulong na rin po ng Kongreso, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Isa pa ho, ano? Naging enlisted personnel ho pala kayo ng ng US Army. 1988 to 1992. Ang tanong ko lang ho, din-announce niyo ba yung inyong Filipino citizenship?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask for an executive session on this matter.
He's asking for an executive session to answer the question.
Okay. So, may we skip that, unless you have other questions, Honorable Malapitan?
Wala na, sige, yun na lang.
Okay, so the Honorable Secretary is requesting for an executive session. So will the members proceed first with asking other questions before we go to the executive?
Mr. Chair, just to formalize, there's a request motion for an executive session.
Is there any objection?
Maybe we can let all the members of the commission ask questions first before proceeding to the executive session.
Okay lang. We agree to that.
Okay. So we first allow all members to finish asking their questions before we proceed to the executive session. Okay. Honorable Marcoleta, you're now recognized to ask questions.
Para naman sa inyo, ano naman ang masasabi nyo tungkol dito? Magkomento lamang sa baba at huwag kalimutang mag-subscribe para updated ka sa mga maiinit na balita sa Pilipinas. Maraming salamat sa panonood.